Welcome to Ottawa Business Journal's coverage of COVID-19. My name is Michael Curran, the publisher of the Ottawa Business Journal. In order to keep local business leaders informed about what's happening in our community, we've established a series of video interviews. This week, we're changing directions a little bit on these interviews. Last week, we spoke about some of the basic steps to take from an accounting, HR, and legal advice perspective. This week, we're looking into the economic impact of COVID-19 on specific industries and also talking to local CEOs to get their thoughts on how they are coping with COVID-19. And today we talk with a very high-profile serial entrepreneur, Steve Cody, best known these days for being the co-founder of Ruckify. Welcome, Steve. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me on.
So Steve, I think what we want to do in this interview is really get into what it means to be a business leader, what it means to be a business owner in this this day and age, and what it means to be kind of resilient and to get through hardships. I think a lot of business owners are thinking about that. But let's start off with Ruckify, the company that you're focused on today. Give us an update on what's happening at Ruckify.
So Bruce and I, we were in Austin, myself and 5 other people. We bought a one-way ticket to Austin. We were getting ready to launch Austin. We had $700,000 set aside for marketing, and our official launch was going to be on the 21st of this month. And I'd say about 2 weeks ago, it really kind of started to sink in for Bruce and I that, this was turning into a problem and could turn into a serious problem. So we watched it very closely, and it was last Sunday is when I ended up coming home from Austin. So 2 Fridays ago, and then the rest of the team came home on the Saturday. So we ended up coming back and really just looking at the entire business. And I think the thing we knew is we didn't really know anything. We had no visibility into what was happening, and we knew we had to make some serious adjustments to our business in order to be able to survive this and then be able to thrive coming out of it.
Okay. And you've made adjustments like many business owners need to do. We're facing almost complete uncertainty at this day and age, so you've scaled back the business to focus on some of the essential tasks, I guess.
Yeah, we looked at everything. So, at the end of the day, it's a lot about preserving cash, extending your runway for a year and a half, or at least until you can have some visibility. So we had to, the toughest decision we had to make was letting some of our team members go. But through that whole process, we were extremely transparent with the team in terms of, why we're making decisions, that we would have to make decisions. People can come back, they get their options back. Everybody took a 10% pay cut. Anybody that was staying took the pay cut, taking holiday times. We were able to cancel our lease. That saved 5 more bodies, in terms of being able to stay on the team. So we looked at every expense first and said, how can we cut in order to keep more people on the team? So that's the first thing we did. So we made our adjustments on last Monday, which was extremely tough, and we continue to be transparent with the team. And what we're telling the team is, we need a certain amount of runway. We have to review the business every 30 days to see where we're at and make adjustments accordingly. So things that can change that. Our plans don't include any revenue increase. So we've been very, very conservative in our plans. Last Saturday, reached out to the CEO of BDC, the CEO of EDC. Literally, both of them got back to me within 15 minutes. They put me in touch with their teams. Our applications are in with both. We've reached out to the Minister of Finance, federal, provincial. We've been talking to all the different teams in order to get support. So if we can get some additional funding, and our investors as well. So we've already had investors come in. We've had outside people actually email us and ask about investing. So if we can continue to raise some money, then that's good for us, and we can hopefully get back to rehiring.
And it's not all doom and gloom. The platform is still open. You still have customers. In fact, I believe you're running a webinar today in terms of how people can be using Ruckify to generate a little bit of cash.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I say to the team, I said, we're really lucky because we get to wake up in the morning and know that we can have, like, we're not just going to work, but we can literally have a positive impact in terms of helping people get through this crisis. And today it was crazy. I mean, we last week we literally didn't spend a dime on marketing, and we'll have 150 people joining a webinar today just through word of mouth. And those are people that literally need to make some extra money. So they're going to start posting their things on Ruckify to do that. In doing so, we're trying to set the right expectations. You may not get a lot of orders right now, although we are. Medical equipment, exercise equipment, games, people are bored at home. So things are renting, but I think where Ruckify, right now we're able to help people earn money, but I think getting out of this, we're likely going to be in a recession, I would think. Or if we're not, people won't have money to spend, or they're going to be too scared to spend it. People are going to have to move away from, in a lot of cases, from being specialists to being generalists. Meaning, if I used to be an electrician and I go into your house to do a bit of work, and I may not have more work. So, if you have some tiling that needs to be done, or, so I may be doing other jobs, which is really good for the rental industry, because you're not going to go buy a tile cutter or something. You're going to want to rent it, and you're going to want to support your community. When we look at it, the rental industry was literally born out of the Great Depression. Airbnb was literally created because of the last recession. For us, it's more than an opportunity. It's an opportunity to help a lot of people in a lot of different ways, and that feels really, really good.
That's good. It's good. It's good to hear that some businesses are staying relevant these days. Steve, I wanted to take a minute to talk about again what I said off the top, what it means to be a leader today, how to be resilient, how to deal with tough times. You had a LinkedIn post last week that went viral, where someone had shared, I believe, someone in your LinkedIn network, that they were in fact likely bankrupt or insolvent, and you shared a very personal story. One of the things I really like about you, Steve, I said this publicly before, is that you're a serial entrepreneur. You've worked in lots of different businesses. And now you're focused on high tech. You've seen a lot of things, both professionally through your business and also personally. Do you want to share that story a little bit about that LinkedIn post and how you responded to that gentleman?
Yeah, and it's it's actually really ironic, Michael. So the gentleman, so he ended up. Our son passed, as you know, our son passed away June 2013. We had. Yeah. 3 different businesses on the go: Monster Halloween, Cody Mobile, and Cody Party and Event Rentals. And we had 13 locations with Cody Party and Event Rentals. And this gentleman actually was a franchisee of ours. And after Nick passed away, I was in bed for about 9 months, couldn't do anything. And we ended up having to shut everything down or sell everything. And this gentleman that actually called me the other day was a guy that really saved my bacon back then, because I couldn't do anything. And he came to me and he said, "Steve, I'm a franchisee. I believe in what you're doing." He said, "Let me run the business for you. You do what you need to do to get better." And this was a gentleman that had came from Cuba, knew nothing about the party rental industry. He had just been a franchisee for 2 years, new to Canada. And he didn't want any money. And he helped me through that crisis. And, so this time he called me in a panic, and he felt it was over. And we just, it's just like, and Natalie, my wife, heard the phone call, and she, at first, you kind of don't know what to make of it. I should back up a bit. He was a franchisee. We became partners through the process, and then he decided to go off on his own. So now we're technically competitors, but we actually remain really good friends. You're right. So, that's another twist. But anyways, so he called me up. He's really scared. There's no business. He doesn't know what's going to happen. And we got talking about it. We started breaking it down. and what were his problems, and kind of talked through that. And anyways, at the end of the call, he was very optimistic, and he really felt he could get through it. And this morning, actually, he just sent me a message asking me how I was doing, and he's doing great. So he said, I'm going to use this time, and I'm going to work on my business, and so anyway, so that felt really good. But it was a lot about preserving cash, I think, was the message.
Yeah, and it had a great reaction online, Steve. It was incredible to see how people were tuning into that message. We'll probably wrap up here in just a couple of minutes, Steve, but I did want to kind of ask you that bigger question about dealing with hardship and resiliency. So if there are business owners, entrepreneurs out there who are feeling completely overwhelmed, first of all, that's a valid feeling. First of all, we should acknowledge that. But what would you say, Steve? You've operated a lot of businesses. You've been in business for a lot of years. What would you say to people who are feeling especially discouraged at a time like this?
Well, first of all, I think we're all scared. So, and none of us really know what's going to happen. I think it's important to break it down to maybe a 30 or 60-day window. Don't think about a year out from now. We just don't know what's going to happen. You kind of don't even know what's going to happen in 30 days. So look at a shorter timeline. I think you need to break your problems. Whatever your problems are, you need to break them down, into silos, and then really, know kind of a good case or bad case scenario in each. Because otherwise, you're going to find if you don't do that, you kind of find yourself laying in bed at 3 o'clock in the morning with all these thoughts just spinning in your head, and nothing is kind of settling down. So I think if you're, put them on whatever kind of person you are, put them on a spreadsheet or put them in your notes in your iPhone, list your problems, worst case, best case, what can you do about it? Some things you can do something about, some you can't. And it's just literally settling your thoughts. And dealing with a short window, I think, is huge. And you have to take care of yourself. Go for a walk, do some exercise. Because this is mental health is a huge problem here. I've been through it.
Steve, I'm going to wrap it up there. Listen, I'm so appreciative that you continue to be a business leader in our city that shares these types of thoughts in a very public way. You're very transparent, and I think people really appreciate that, and certainly I do. So thank you for being with us, Steve. I wish you and the team at Ruckify the best of luck in the days ahead.
Thank you, and thank you for shining the light on all this, Michael. Really good. Thank you.
It's our pleasure.